Hello friends, today we'll see how to configure extended ACLs using packet tracers. ACLs are access control lists. So these ACLs are a collection of permit and deny conditions. We can call them rules. So those rules provide a security by blocking unauthorized users and allowing authorized users to access specific resources. We can say these ACLs are network traffic filters that can control incoming and outgoing traffic. These ACLs work on a set of rules that can define how we can forward or block a packet at the router's interface. So for today's video, we are going to use this scenario. So this is a scenario here. So this is a packet tracer file here. It has a router, two networks, and a server. And this router has three interfaces: gigabit Ethernet 0 by 0, gigabit Ethernet 0 by 1, and gigabit Ethernet 0 by 2. As you can see, this PC1 is connected on gigabit 0 by 0 Ethernet on this interface. This PC2 is connected on this G0 by 1 interface, and the server is connected on this interface. And this is the addressing table of this particular network. So this router, so it has different IP address on different interfaces. Then this is a server, and the IP address of the server is 172.22.34.62. And this PC1 and PC2, they are this is their corresponding IP address, okay, for this PC1 and PC2. Now, objective of this video is, in this video, what we are going to do, we are going to configure, apply, and verify an extended number of ACL and configure, apply, and verify an extended name ACL. So these ACLs are of different types: standard ACLs, then extended ACLs, then dynamic, reflexive, and time-based ACLs. So scenario is, what we have to set the permissions. So suppose there are two employees, they need to access services provided by this server. So this server provides few services. Now this user on this PC1, this needs only FTP access on this server, and the user on the PC2, that needs only web access on this server. And both computers should be able to ping to the server, but not to each other. So it means we have to provide ICMP and FTP access to the PC1 or to this server, and we have to provide HTTP and ICMP access to this PC2 for this server. So now here you can see in the packet tracer, this Cisco packet tracer, this scenario I have opened here. And in this scenario, the same which I displayed previously. So this is the addressing table for this particular network. And here we are going to first configure, apply, and verify extended number ACL. So what we are going to do, we are going to permit the traffic from PC1 on this server, FTP and ICMP traffic. Okay. So for that, we have to configure. So first we will configure ACL to permit FTP and ICMP traffic. So what we have to do, we will click on this router. So when we click on this router, in this CLI tab, let me just expand it. So here we are going to write the code and apply those rules. Okay. So first thing is, we have to press enter here. Then this R1, this will appear here. Here we have to give enable command, enable. I will post all these commands in description of this video. After this enable, we have to give command config. So we'll give config command. Now it is asking whether configuring from terminal, memory, or the network. We will write terminal. We are configuring from terminal and press enter. Now this R1 is in configuration mode. So all the commands we are going to type here. So first command we will give here, access hyphen list space question mark. Okay. So now it is giving to range IP standard access and IP extended access. So we want to configure this extended list. So we will just type here 100 and again space and question mark. Okay. Now it is asking whether we have to deny, permit or remark. Okay. So we will ask for the permit. So I'm just using this arrow key to bring that same command, and I'll type here permit space question mark. Okay. Now you can see it is showing this ACL, it permits FTP and ICMP. Okay. So here you can see ICMP is listed here. So ICMP is listed here, but FTP is not listed because FTP uses TCP. Okay. So first we will enter TCP to refine this ACL. Okay. So here we will type TCP. Okay. So TCP space question mark. Now here, after once we have entered this TCP, it is asking for this source address, any, and host address. Okay. So here we have two choice. One thing is we can just filter for PC1 by using this host keyword, or we can allow for this complete entire network. So this network which is connected on this router on this site. Okay. So what we can do, we can filter just for this PC1 by using the keyword host, or we can allow any host. Okay. Or any from this network. Okay. So in this case, any device is allowed that is belonging to this particular IP address 172.22.34.64 slash I guess it is 27. Okay. So any device from this network will be allowed. So we want to enter. Okay. So what we will do, we will type this. Okay. So here we will type this IP address. So 172.22.34.64 space question mark. Okay. Now it is asking for the wildcard bits. Okay. So we have to calculate these wildcard bits. So I'll show you how to calculate those wildcard bits. So here I will show you how to calculate those wildcard masks. So we can calculate this wildcard mask by finding the binary opposite of the subnet mask. So this is the address of this network, and slash 27, this is default mask. Okay, so slash 27 means out of 32-bit IP address, 27 bits are ones, and remaining 5 bits, 32 minus 27, so remaining 5 bits are 0. So to find out the wildcard bits, what we have to do, we have to just convert this binary into convert this binary into 0 into 1 and 1 into 0. So just opposite, binary opposite. Okay. So what we will do, we'll just convert these all zeros, ones into zeros, and then all remaining zeros into ones. And once we have done this, then we will just convert this binary into decimal values. So once we'll convert this into the decimal value, it is going to be equivalent to 0.0.0.31. So this is how we can calculate wildcard mask. So now we have to enter this wildcard mask. So here we have to enter that wildcard mask which we have calculated. So that wildcard which we calculated was 0.0.0.31 space question mark. Okay. So we have entered this. Again, it is giving us option any equal to GT host. Okay. So now what we will do, we will configure destination address. So in this, what we are trying to do, we are trying to filter the traffic for a single destination, which is the server. Okay. So here we will enter the host keyword. We are not filtering this traffic for complete network. We are just filtering only for this server. So we will use this host option. Okay. So we will use this host option, and we will enter the IP address of this particular server. Okay. So what we have to type here, we have to type this host here. So host space and the IP address of that server, that is 172.22.34.62 space question mark. Okay. Now what we have to do next. So here you can see in this a lot of options are given, okay, equal to this GT, IT. So what we are going to use, we are going to just permit that traffic for TCP, okay. So what we will do, we will just enter here EQ. So EQ here, EQ is match only packet on a given port number. So we want to just allow only for FTP. Okay. So we will just type here EQ space question mark. Okay. Now it has given us choice. So FTP, POP3, SMTP, Telnet. So we want to only allow traffic for FTP. So we will give EQ FTP and press enter. Okay. So now this traffic is permitted for this particular FTP. Okay. Now, what is the next thing? Next thing, what we have to do, we have to permit the traffic for ICMP. Okay. So here we have permitted only for FTP. We have to permit for ICMP, and we are not going to put any restriction for that or not particular type of ICMP traffic. So we will just allow. You will just use this command. We will remove this EQ FTP. Okay, and just change this TCP value to ICMP to permit ICMP traffic. So ICMP is used when we give ping command and press enter. Okay. So now FTP and ICMP traffic from this PC is permitted for this server. Okay. All other traffic is denied by default. Now we have to apply this ACLs which we have configured. We have to apply that on a correct interface. Okay. So this traffic which is being generated from this PC1 and it is going to this server, it is reaching on this router on this particular interface G0 by 0. So we have to configure now this ACL on this interface also. Okay. So what we have to do, we have to apply this ACL on this particular interface. So for this, we'll give command interface space, the interface name is gigabit Ethernet. If you hover over there on this interface now, you will, if we hover over this thing, once I minimize and hover on these particular components, I'll get their particular names, the IP address and everything. Okay. So the name is gigabit Ethernet 0 by 0. Okay. So now we have entered in the mode of configuring interface, and here we will give command IP access hyphen group space 100 and in. So now we have configured this thing. So now we have configured, but we have to just verify. So for verification, what we can do, we can minimize this and we will click on this PC1. And once we click on this PC1, this new window will open here. In this, we have to click on this desktop tab, and the desktop tab, the command prompt will open. We have to click on this command prompt. We'll click on this command prompt, and now what we will do, we will try to ping from this PC to this server. So for pinging, we will give command ping and IP address of that server. So IP address of that server is 172.22.34.62 and press enter. Okay. So we are receiving the reply from this server. So it means the ICMP traffic is allowed from this PC to this server. Now we will check whether FTP traffic is allowed. So we will give command FTP space and the IP address of the server. So that is 172.22.34.62. Okay. So here username and password both are Cisco, 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 and the password is also same. Okay. And now you see that FTP mode is on. So we are connected on the FTP for this server. So it means we have configured and verified ICMP and FTP traffic from this PC to this PC, and we have configured this on for this router on this interface. So the first part is done. Now what we have to do, we have to configure, apply and verify extended named list for this PC. Okay, so what we want from this PC, the PC2, the traffic should be only allowed HTTP traffic. Okay, only if this PC wants to use only web services for this server. Okay, so we have to configure that HTTP traffic and ICMP traffic from this PC to this server. So again, we will click on this. So if we hover over these icons now, so we can see their configurations. Okay, so like this. Okay, so again, we will configure this router. We'll click here on this router. So it is in the interface configuration mode. So we will come out of this interface configuration mode. So we'll just press exit. So now we are in the configuration mode. Okay, so in the configuration mode, again, we will start with those commands. Access list, access hyphen list space question mark. So this is for help. Okay, so it provides you help when we press question mark. It provides help. Okay, so now it is asking whether we want it for this standard and extended. Okay, so we want it for extended. So we'll give here so we'll just check IP access hyphen list, sorry, hyphen list space question. Okay, so it is asking for the extended and the standard. So we will go for extended. So we'll type here extended, and here we are configuring it by the name, not by the number. So we will give the name. So HTTP underscore only. Okay, so this is case sensitive. So if you are giving the same name, when we are going to use this name, it should be same what we have given. Okay, so HTTP only. Now this prompt has changed. Now we are in this extended named ACL configuration mode. Okay, so all the devices on PC2 there, they need TCP access. On this side LAN, they need TCP access. Okay, so we'll enter the network address. So what we'll do, we'll give command permit TCP and the IP address 172.22.34.96 space question mark. Okay, now it is again asking for the source wildcard. Okay, so for wildcard, again, how we can calculate this wildcard. So if you see here, this is the network address 172.22.34.96/28 is the default mask. So again, using this default mask, how we can calculate that wildcard bits. So here I have already done it for you. So here you can see. So this is the address and the default mask. So we have converted this /28 into the binary. So 28 bits are one and 4 bits are 0. So 28 minus 32, 4. So 4 bits are 0, and then we will find out binary inverse of this. So we'll just convert all ones into zeros and all zeros into ones. So once we will convert this binary value into the decimal, we will get this wildcard bits as 0.0.0.15. Okay, so now we will use this wildcard bits here. Okay, so we will give this wildcard bits here. So that is 0.0.0.15 question mark. Okay, now it is asking for this type of like any traffic equal to GT and all that. Okay, so what we have to do, we want www traffic. Okay, so we want www traffic. Okay, so we want web traffic. So here what we can do, we have to give where we want that traffic on this server. Okay, for this particular server, so we have to specify, we have to use this host option, and we have to specify the IP address of this and what type of service we want to access. So we have to give this here, host, then the IP address. So that is 172.22.34.62, and which service we want, equal to www, and press enter. Okay. Now we have permitted this www traffic. What we have to do now, we have to permit ICMP traffic also. Okay. So for this, we will just remove this EQ www and we'll just change this TCP to ICMP. ICMP. So this will permit ICMP traffic. Okay. So this ICMP and TCP, this www traffic or HTTP traffic, that is permitted for this PC, for this server. Now we have to configure the same thing on this interface. So this network, this PC2 is connected to this router on this interface G0/1. So there we have to configure, we have to apply. So again, we will just exit from here, from this extended list, and we'll come to the normal router configuration mode. So here we have to give interface space, this interface name. So the interface name is Gigabit Ethernet 0/1. Okay, 0/1, and press enter. Okay, so now we entered into this interface configuration mode. So here we have to permit that traffic. So IP access hyphen group, and we gave that name to this extended list, that is HTTP only. So we have to use this same name for this ACL. It is case sensitive, so we have to give exactly the same name. Okay, so the name which we gave there and in. So now this is configured. So this configuration is done. Now what we have to do, we have to verify this. So for verification, what we will do, we will try to ping from this PC to this server. So I'll just click on this PC, and in this desktop tab, click on this command prompt, and from here I have to give the IP address of this server. Okay, so I'll try to ping to this server from this device. So here I'll give this command ping and the IP address of the server. So that is 172.22.34.62. Okay, press enter. Sorry, I gave wrong command. Ping 172.22.34.62. Okay, and it is pinging. So it means this PC2 is connected to this server, and ICMP traffic is allowed from this PC to this server. So we have not configured here FTP for this PC2. Okay, we have configured only HTTP. So we will try to check whether FTP traffic is allowed from this PC to this PC, from this PC to server. So we will just try FTP and the IP address 172.22.34.62. Okay, now it is trying to connect. Okay, because FTP traffic is not permitted on this interface from this PC. So it will not get connected, or it will not be able to send that FTP traffic for this server. And both these PC, the ICMP traffic is allowed, but only for this server. So these both pieces will not be allowed to ping to each other, but they both are able to ping to this server. Now we have to check whether we are able to access web services also. Now we have checked that ICMP traffic from this PC2 to this server is allowed. Now we have configured HTTP traffic also. So check that whether HTTP traffic is allowed or not. what we can do, we can click on this PC, and now we'll open this web browser here. Click on this web browser under this desktop tab. So here in this URL, if we type the IP address of the server, we should be able to connect. Okay, so the IP address is 172.22.34.62 and press enter. Okay, and see, our web traffic is going, or this is allowed to reach to this server on this particular interface. Okay, so this is how we have configured this extended ACL, ICMP and FTP traffic from this PC to this server, ICMP and HTTP traffic from this PC to this server, and all other traffic is blocked or denied by default. All the commands which I have used, I'll post in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching.